Welcome to Glow 365 for The Disease is the Cure, where we explore many dimensions of holistic wellness and how we can improve our lives. This show is hosted by Leonard Burg, who is a soul therapist, a psychospiritual coach, consultant, apotheosis, author of the book Dis-Ease is the Cure, Coily Works Dean of Faculty, and Glow's Wellness Advisor. He's excited to take you on this journey towards a healthier and happier you. Today, the topic is loving the dis-ease away by taking care of your physical, emotional, and mental health to live a more fulfilling life and achieving your goals. So sit back, relax, and get ready to learn something new.
Today's show is about loving your dis-ease away, because loving the dis-ease away is loving yourself. But first, I want to thank Coach Mia for launching the Dis-Ease is the Cure show right here on Caribbean Rhythms Radio Network. Thank you for tuning in. You can also watch it as a recording on YouTube at Glow 365 TV shows. That's YouTube. It's on YouTube at Glow, the @ Glow 365 TV shows. So, last month, we began this show with turning disease into medicine. This week, we're going to go a little bit more into how is that possible? How can you turn dis-ease into medicine? First of all, let's be clear on what we mean by dis-ease. Dis-ease is chronic or recurring upset, physical problems and challenges, issues. It can be relationship issues. It can be issues in the social arena, on the job. It could even be global issues and the wider society challenges and issues. So dis-ease can be experienced, and is experienced not just by individuals, but by relationships, by society as a whole. So we treat dis-ease because people and organizations experience chronic, recurring challenges and problems that are attendant with a certain degree of suffering and upset that just persists. So our purpose in soul therapy is to get at the root cause of it. Why is it persisting? What message is it trying to bring to us? What do we need to learn from it? What consciousness is it bringing to us? So that's what dis-ease is. So what about loving the dis-ease away? How can you possibly say that? Well, because we are not the body. We're not the mind. We're not the ego. We're not the person. In essence, we're the one that wears this body, this costume. We're not the body. The body belongs to us. Well, let's say it's been leased to us for living on this earth, but sometimes it experiences dis-ease. And so, because of the fact that the body, mind, and ego is just a costume, the real you is your spiritual essence, your divinity, that spark of divinity. So where does love come into the picture? The actual way to bring about recovery and healing from dis-ease is through your spiritual power. And the spirit is synonymous with love. Love is synonymous with truth. Truth is synonymous with consciousness. Consciousness is synonymous with spirit. And all of it's synonymous with God, the creator. Some of you may not believe in God as such. So just think of it this way. You didn't create yourself. Whatever created you, whatever sustains this universe, whatever sustains your human body and enables you to breathe millions of times in the course of your life, enables your heart to beat millions of times in the course of your life, that enables an acorn to grow into an oak tree, whatever that life energy is, that's what we're talking about here. That's of the same nature as your spirit. So therefore, it stands to reason that the real healing that comes, the real recovery that comes, is from your spiritual being. It's not the herbs. It's not all of these wonderful modalities, except that they're vehicles through which to harness the energy of the spirit in order to bring about the healing. So if the spirit's basic identity is that of love, then loving the dis-ease means understanding that it's your organism's attempt to allow the spirit to heal it. So by loving it, it doesn't mean you want it to continue. It doesn't mean if you had your preference, you would be experiencing dis-ease. What it means is that shine the light of your spirit on it, which is shining the light of your consciousness on it. That's the love I'm talking about here. And in that process, eventually, you can love the dis-ease away. Because in reality, dis-ease is the organism's attempt to heal itself using the spiritual energy. So, in that context, in the science of soul therapy, we look at disease, conflicts, and problems as the organism's attempt to heal itself, with the basis being the spirit. So what do? Instead of suppressing it using drugs or all kinds of suppressive ways of living, why don't we cooperate with what the organism is trying to do instead of suppressing it? Now, I understand that there are times where there needs to be the use of certain medicines, whether it be in the physical body or even mechanisms in relationships and social arena, to temporarily suppress the symptoms in order to give the organism a chance to rally its healing energies. But that's as long as we remember that suppression is only temporary. And in order to give the organism attempt to heal itself or strengthen itself. So, what are some of the ways in which the dis-ease is the cure, or dis-ease is medicine? Dis-ease is the organism's attempt to heal itself. The simplest answer I can think about is the withdrawal from various addictive behaviors, whether it's being a drunk, whether it's addicted to different kinds of drugs. The hangover and the withdrawal is the organism's attempt to dispel the toxins that have accumulated as a result of the drinking. But it's not just the toxins accumulated with the drinking and the drugging. It's the emotions and thoughts that have been suppressed enabling you to escape from awareness of these toxic emotions and toxic thoughts and toxic beliefs. They also tend to detox when you go through withdrawal because the organism's trying to get rid of it. But what do? The drunk takes the drink. That stops the withdrawal. The addict gets a hit. That stops the withdrawal. And you can imagine there are so many ways in which we get attached to and continue certain ways of living that are not just to enjoy, sometimes they're also to escape the consciousness that we need in order to live and grow and become who we are and fulfill our purpose in life. Another way that we see the organism tries to heal itself is on the social arena: rebellions, unrest. And we know that the powers that be try to and do suppress and crush rebellion, crush unrest. But that's a way of sweeping it under the rug. What about getting at the root cause of the rebellion? In a sense, then, the rebellion is the organism, the social organism's attempt to heal itself. So instead of suppressing it, manage it, cooperate with it. Yes, you may need some temporary, quote unquote, suppressive measures, but that doesn't get to the root of the problem. So we're going to go into how pain and suffering and upset makes you pay attention. But first, let's take a quick break. And when we return, I'll explain. Be right back.
Hey, it's your girl, Coach Lady Mia, host of The Mia Allman Show, presented by Official Woman of Culture 365 and executive producer of Glow 365 TV and radio shows. As a certified master life coach and certified in other areas of mental health counselor and practitioner, self-care and boundary settings, health and nutrition, and as a wellness advocate, I share honest conversations with individuals on various topics that affect men, women, mentally, physically, and spiritually, to celebrating our cultural heritage. So join me every first and fourth Thursday right here on Caribbean Rhythms Radio, online at crrfm.com, and also on YouTube at Glow 365 TV shows at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. You can also follow me on Facebook and Instagram at Glow 365 TV show. So tell a friend to tell their friends and join in on the conversation to find your power of glow that equals our greater level of wellness within the mind, body, and soul.
So welcome back. Yes, it's at Glow 365 TV shows that you can get the link for YouTube and social media, because the This Ease is the Cure show is a part of that platform. We're here today on Caribbean Rhythms Radio Network. And if you've just joined us, today's show is dealing with loving your dis-ease away. Let's get back to suffering and pain. Truth be told, the suffering, pain, and upset of life's conflicts makes us pay attention to underlying body-mind patterns that we may be denying, distorting, suppressing, or overlooking. We call that inconscientization. The term conscientization was coined by the great Brazilian psychotherapist and social scientist Norberto Keppe in Brazil. Yes. Inconscientizing is suppressing, denying, distorting, or overlooking the truth of what is going on in our sphere of awareness and in our life. You all know, I'm sure, people who have one foot on a banana peel and another foot in the grave before acknowledging the pain they're experiencing and going to either a doctor or a healing practitioner of some kind in order to find out what's going on and get some healing. But sometimes that's what it takes, suffering and pain, to make us pay attention. But the problem is we live in a society where that's suppressed. And a lot of that suppression is perpetuated in a psychosocial sense. One of the things that the great Dr. Norberto Keppe has pioneered is the analysis of society as well as analysis of the individual. There's what we call psychosociopathology. We go to individual therapy, but we live in a psychosocial pathological society. So we have to do something about too. We have to use the consciousness that we get to also impact our society as a whole. So one of the things that makes this difficult is what we call the imperialistic mindset. You may have heard of the terms positivism and reductionism. Positivism is saying that the spiritual way of looking at things is not sufficient to deal with the problems here on earth. Because where reductionism comes into play, it's got to be looked at physically using your machines and all kinds of mechanisms. Now, it's true that science as we know it has in fact made many inroads of a positive nature, but in spite of the science, the technology, look at what's going on in the world. Look at the war now in Israel. Look at the war in Ukraine. Look at the pollution of the environment. Look at the suppression of and enslavement of peoples around the earth. Look at the earthquakes, the hurricanes, the mudslides, the forest fires. It's showing us that you can't just suppress it. You got to get to the root cause of it. But let's look at how this imperialistic mindset deals with physical disease. You have the war on cancer. Well, from a soul therapy point of view, the cancer is the organism's attempt to heal itself. So instead of simply suppressing it or cutting it out, which you may have to do, what about trying to figure out, well, why is there cancer? What is the root cause? What are we doing to aid and abet that cancer? If we don't address, I don't care even if you're taking herbs and holistic measures, if you don't address the root cause that aids, or the root causal factors, let's say, that aid and abet the cancer, then all you're doing is just a Band-Aid. You hear people saying, yeah, I beat that cancer. I beat the disease. Really? If you suppressed it, you didn't beat it. It just as well may come right back. Or the problems you covered up in one area will crop up in another area of the body or life. Another example of the imperialistic approach to healing is the germ theory. Germs cause disease. No, we say that germs are present in diseased tissues. What is the job of the germ? It's to decompose those tissues so they can then be detoxified. They can be drawn out of the body. Now, yes, again, in a crisis situation, we may need suppressive therapy. Like if I have a very bad headache, that peppermint tea will not immediately get away, but I got to do something very important that requires my intense concentration, and I just don't have time to rest. I might take an over-the-counter drug to ease the headache. But if you do that, What are you doing about the root cause of the headache? What are you doing to recover from the use of the drug? We should be aware that drugs, uh, like antibiotics, for instance, that uh, kill certain tissues, bacteria, microbes, what happens to the carcass of those microbes? If you're not living a life that includes detoxification, they stay in your system and cause problems later. So when you do have to use suppressive drugs, it's very important to detox from the dead carcasses of the drugs, even if you have to use them. So before we go any further, let's take a quick break. And when we return, I want to talk about the necessity of cooperating with rather than suppressing the dis-ease. We'll be right back.
It's time again for the Jamaican American Association of Central Florida's annual Thanksgiving Drive. Please support our effort by donating any of the non-perishable items listed on our flyer. Those donations may be delivered to Silver Star Christian Church, 7510 Silver Star Road, Orlando, Florida, on Sundays, 12:30 till 2 p.m. or call 407-486-5001 or 407-292-3719, and one of our members will arrange to collect those items from you. The drop-off cutoff is November 12th, 2023. You may give cash donations at jaaocf.com. So thank you so much in advance for doing your part this year to help a family in need for Thanksgiving.
Okay, welcome back to the Dis-Ease is the Cure show, right here on Caribbean Rhythms Radio Network. If you've just joined us, our discussion is on loving your dis-ease away. Remember, again, you can also watch this on YouTube at Glow 365 TV shows. Now, what is this cooperation with the dis-ease rather than just suppressing it? The key to cooperation is truth and consciousness. I earlier mentioned the term conscientize and inconscientize. Conscientizing is focusing your awareness and consciousness on what is going on in the present. I like to say that it's being in the church of what's happening now. All too often, we worry about the future and regret the past, and we're not in the present, which the ancients call the eternal now. So cooperating with starts in the process of soul therapy, starts with being truthful about what is going on, being conscious of what is going on. This reminds you a lot of the process of meditation, where you are the knower and what you are perceiving is the known, meaning thoughts are things, conditions are things. When you're in that state of consciousness, you're not being that thing, you're being aware of it. You are you, and it is what it is. And this is being truthful. And this enables you to see more deeply into what is going on. So we start with looking at whatever the challenge is. You look at it, you see it, you see the facts of it, the truth of it. Now, we're not saying that you have to relive it, because we don't want you to, like, for instance, if you have a thought coming into your mind, you can look at the thought and pay it bare attention, or you can think of it. If you start thinking of it, then it's engaging your soul energy and you're being it more so. So being conscious and being aware is not harmful. Actually, it helps you to see that you are not what you perceive. You're the one who's perceiving it. So let's move on to the role of toxic or innovating ways of living in the process of dis-ease. Innovation, a man by the name of Tilden talked about this, about how innovation is one of the root causes of disease. How do we innovate? Meaning the way we're living means that we don't have enough energy to deal with all the toxic side effects of the way we're living. It could have to do with the way we eat. It could have to do with our physical activities. It could have to do with our mental activities. We're living in a way that uses up energy in excess of building up our strength, building up our constitution, our resistance. We have an energy deficit. And that is what causes the organism to, okay, we need some balance. So we got to detox from some of this toxic, some of the toxic inputs as a result of the way in which you're living. Eating, not getting enough sleep, overdoing things, using drugs or other suppressive things, using even your love for music as a drug, overstimulation. So this produces toxins. And so the dis-ease is the body's or the organism's attempt to eliminate the toxins as a result of innovating kinds of living. Now, I should say here that some of the toxins that we experience come from our environment also. Also, we come into the world with certain potential, with certain physical characteristics that may affect our ability to keep equilibrium, to balance our energy output with rest, relaxation, with a way of living that keeps us in equilibrium. But that's all the more reason that we need to be aware of what to do to conserve our energy, utilize it properly, and detox where necessary. So innovation is key. When you're thinking about healing or recovering from dis-ease, whether it be in your relationships, whether it be in your physical body, whether it be on the job, whether it be your role in society, it's very important to see how are you using your energy? How are you resupplying yourself? Taking in, cultivating, harnessing more energy than you are losing in the process of living. So before we go further, let's take a quick break. And when we return, I want to explain to you how food is your best medicine, because food is one of the ways, of course, that we take in more energy, or that we're able to utilize more energy. But you should be aware that when I'm talking about food, I'm not just talking about carrot juice or pork chops or physical food, food in a larger sense. We'll be right back.
Ladies and gentlemen, Christmas bells are ringing, and the Jamaican American Association would like to invite you to our annual Christmas celebration on December 16th, 2023, from 6:30 till 11:30 at the Church of the Messiah, 241 Main Street, Winter Garden, Florida, 34787. Tickets are available at $60 for adults and $30 for children, 12 and under. Call 407-486-5001, 407-276-3685, or 407-292-3719 to get your tickets and information. Visit our website, jaaocf.com, to learn more about us. We look forward to celebrating Christmas with you this year.
Welcome back to the Dis-Ease is the Cure show, right here on Caribbean Rhythms Radio Network. If you've just joined us, our discussion today is on how to be loving your disease away, your dis-ease away. And remember, you can watch it on YouTube at Glow 365 TV shows. Foods that sustain life, quote unquote, foods. Food is not just the physical things that we eat. Food is the totality of what this physical body-mind absorbs from its environment as we live. So what are the foods that sustain life? Mostly people talk about the physical foods, but let's go a little deeper. Remember, we said that it's about loving the dis-ease away. And loving has to do with truthfulness, being true. You know, the ancients said, to thine own self be true, meaning to your spirit, be truthful so that your spirit can love the disease away. When you're truthful, you're loving. You're being conscious. And so we are very fortunate that the first food that we actually imbibe that comes down into the physical realms is the sun, the air and the oxygen, the water. All of those have food in them. And we call that food chi, or prana in yoga, they call it. Through getting a proper amount of sunshine and clean air, clean water, we take in more chi or prana. And this prana, we talked earlier about energy. This prana is the key to energizing and all the different organs and systems of the body that enable the heart to beat, enable the lungs to breathe, enable us to digest the food and detoxify the waste. So when this chi is blocked in certain meridians, they call it, there are different meridians in the body. When this chi is blocked, then the toxins are not able to get out. They build up and we have problems in different parts of the body. Dis-ease. So I would say that the first food that I want to talk about here that sustains life, that even enables us to imbibe the chi, comes through our spiritual practice. Meaning, when we're being conscious, like if we meditate, for instance, where we be still and we be conscious, it's proven, things like meditation, it's proven that it can help you to de-stress, it can help you to concentrate better, it can help to heal different parts of the bodies, etc. So meditation is the key to the food that sustains life and consciousness. And I think the important thing to remember is that from this point of view, we don't look at dis-ease as an enemy. Rather, it's a way of the organism trying to appropriate more chi, more food, so that it can heal itself. It's just that simple. So you should also recognize that food is what you put on your body, the cosmetics that you use. Anything that gets into our system that can toxify it, we need to be detoxing from it. And foods that sustain life are helpful. So right now we live in a time when everyone's worried about COVID coming back. But how much on the radio do you hear about, well, if I do get COVID, and I feel that I must take a medicine temporarily to suppress the symptoms, what am I doing in the long term to help the body heal itself? What am I doing to nourish the body? What am I doing to help the body detox? What am I doing to help the body to prevent itself from getting sick? You see, you don't hear about that at all. Again, they try to say that some of us are anti-vax. No, we are pro feeding the body foods that sustain life, that enable the body's, the organism's attempt to heal itself. So before we go further, we're going to take another break. And when we return, I'm going to talk about dare to research, study, and experiment. You must become a scientist. Some of us, believe it or not, are already scientists. We'll talk about that. Be right back.
Dis-ease is the cure if the symptoms are consciously managed, as in soul therapy, which uses dis-ease as medicine. It exposes the root causes of the conditions, whether they be physical, in relationships, or in society. Soul therapy is complementary to all other modalities of healing or remediation because it accelerates cure, reduces suffering, and attracts the wisdom and energy to help prevent, treat, or recover from dis-ease.
Welcome back to the Dis-ease is the Cure show right here on Caribbean Rhythms Radio Network. Again, if you just joined us, our discussion is on loving your disease away. I should say loving the disease away because it doesn't belong to you. There's no need for you to claim it. And remember, you can also watch the show on YouTube at Glow 365 TV shows. Now, more about daring to experiment. I remember back many years ago when I was a wreck. I had severe skin disease or skin ailments, acne. My face looked like an alligator, like the craters of the moon. I had respiratory problems. I was continually taking Dristan and other decongestants. I was depressed about failed love affairs. I was drinking and drugging and fornicating and and wondering why was I not feeling fulfilled. But finally, a very dear friend of mine, Aisha Grice, she used to do the astrology renderings for Essence Magazine. She dropped a book on my desk while I was working at the National Urban League called Rational Fasting by Arnold Ehret. And we won't get into it today, but fasting is one of the fastest ways to detox. Bearing in mind, there are all different types of fasts, and you need to think about the ones that would be most useful to you. Just make a note that intermittent fasting is a good way for you to start to fast. But as a result of that, and the condition that I was in at the time, I decided to quit my job so I could find out, well, Len Burg, who are you? Why are you here? What are you doing? And so, as I said in my previous show, I wandered around and found and enrolled in UCLA, not the school in California, but university on the corner of Lenox Avenue. the Tree of Life bookstore, a spiritual bookstore. And my spiritual explosion took place. And I began to think that, well, the medical people are telling me that I'm in perfect health. And they also saying that food has nothing to do with the condition of my skin. And I was just using all kinds of over-the-counter ailments, proper pH. I forget the name of all of them, trying to clear the acne. Well, of course, it didn't work. But when I started fasting, when I started loving my body, when I started using different herbs, and when I started eating correctly, fasting, eating more natural foods, doing more exercise, breathing, yoga, etc., my skin cleared up. So I dared to experiment. It doesn't take a double-blind study to know certain things. If we look into our cultural heritage, there are many things that our ancestors and even today are doing that have not resulted in controlled and double-blind studies, but we got sense enough and common sense to know that it's useful. But the thing is to experiment and see for yourself. I like to say that today's science acts as if you don't, the scientific method is such that if you don't have a literature search and conduct a controlled experiment, then you can't say that what's being proposed is real. The truth is, my grandma was a scientist. She knew how to make a perfect pancake. She did it the same way every time, okay? And there was no literature search. But then again, think about all of the indigenous peoples around the world that use herbs for healing. Is there a double-blind study that is written about in a literature? They haven't done a literature search that has taken the oral tradition and rendering it in writing to be part of the scientific method. So my message is that if you really want to love the disease away, if you want to heal and recover, then experiment. Begin to do your own research. Begin to try things out. And don't just treat what is conventional medicine and conventional thinking in every sector. Don't act like it's your God. I'm not saying to just put it all away. I'm not against all medicine. Hey, look, if I'm in an accident and I'm on the street in pain, give me some morphine. I had a hernia. I had to get it taken out. I had a tooth that needed to be extracted. Surgery is very necessary in some cases, and even other medicines, but they're not the all in all that they sometimes claim to be. They're not the cure. This is where I should mention that I began to talk earlier about consciousness and conscientizing. In soul therapy, we conscientize or look at the truth of the condition that's facing us. We don't sweep it under the rug. We don't simply suppress it with drugs. First, we look at it. Then we look at, well, what is the behavior pattern associated with the challenge that we're facing? What is our behavior pattern? What is our emotional pattern? What is our thought pattern? What is our pattern of beliefs? we have discovered that underlying all dis-ease are inconscientized behavior patterns, emotional patterns, thought patterns, and beliefs that are suppressed, denied, distorted, or overlooked in terms of the truth of it. And when you actually allow yourself to conscientize those patterns with the help of a soul therapist, something happens. What we say is that consciousness is a manifestation of your spirit. And so your spirit is the source of healing. When you conscientize, you automatically begin to access that healing energy coming from the spirit, which can filter into the chi or prana, circulation in the body, and absorption from the environment, all of which leads to healing. This reminds me of, in terms of experimentation, with one of the alternative modalities which science has yet to prove, but people have used because they're experimenting, homeopathy. It's the science of like cures like. It's saying that if you take something that is a poison in a macro dose, a big dose, and if you give it to a person in a micro dose, and if that poison has similarities with the symptoms that the person is experiencing in their dis-ease challenge, if you put that poison into a micro dose and give it to the person, it actually stimulates a healing, a recovery. As a matter of fact, the similarity between soul therapy and homeopathy is that the homeopath physician will look at every dimension of the dis-ease, the social dimension of it, the physical, the emotional, the spiritual, in a very deep deep sessions. And just the fact that the homeopath does that, the person begins to heal immediately. And in soul therapy, we look for some immediate signs of healing. Calming down, feeling like some of the burden has lifted off your shoulders. Calming down like a balloon releasing air. Clarification of your thinking. Insights, aha moments, and feelings, we call it a taste of honey, of the bliss of peace. These are the things we look for, and people can experience in soul therapy. And then outside of the treatments itself, we look for people to, their dis-ease condition, the healing and recovering of it to accelerate, the suffering to reduce. You know, some things we have to bear with that are maybe even endemic to our constitution when we were born. But we're better able to reduce the suffering and bear with it and persevere. We're better able to summon the will and energy to do what we need to do to sustain healing. So things like homeopathy, and there are other modalities that produce the same effect. In Chinese medicine, for every physical ailment, you have corresponding issues in your emotions and your thoughts. And when they treat you, they just don't treat and suppress the physical symptoms. So let's take another quick break. And when we return, I'm going to talk about how you can experience free of charge soul therapy.
Hey, this is your girl Sophie G, your real sister from the Sophie G Show, and I am giving a shout out to KUO Magazine. They're dedicated to promoting a greater level of wellness in all of us. Yes, they bring out that glow. Caribbean Under One magazine features different cultures and personalities of both men and women from within our own communities, sharing biographies and their personal stories and challenges, even their secrets as to how they overcame the toughest obstacles they faced, with the hope of inspiring others. Caribbean Under One magazine gives back, and they acknowledge by honoring the ribbon of Survivors 365 by bringing awareness to those who have overcome and struggled with chronic illnesses and conditions. They inspire. KUO encourages and reminds us all of the true importance of having that glow in all our lives, a greater level of wellness. This is your girl Sophie G, your real sister, who promises to always keep it real. For me not lie, I'm not try. And I say, get your subscription today. Just log on, tell your friends, tell your family to join in and become a member, to subscribe to kuomagazine.com today.
Welcome back to the This Eases the Cure show right here on Caribbean Rhythms Radio Network. If you just joined us, our discussion is on loving your dis-ease away. Right now, I want to talk about how you can experience the healing nature of soul therapy free of charge. Meaning you can check it out. You can see if it works for you. I'll have to say that the difference between, this is not psychotherapy. In soul therapy, we do more than just listen. I know some dynamic psychotherapists who mainly listen and give a little bit of input and wham. My brothers and sisters in Brazil, using the system of analytical trilogy, pioneered by Dr. Norberto Kepi and his associate, Dr. Claudia Pacheco, it's a very powerful therapy. But soul therapy has another role. In soul therapy, we are not only helping you to deal with pathology and on the physical plane and in daily life, but we want to help you to fulfill your highest desires in life, your desire to come into the knowledge of yourself, your desire to answer your calling, to find out your calling and answer your calling. And our hope is that soul therapy will help prepare you for that journey. So there's a way that you can experience soul therapy free of charge for a free consultation. All you have to do is email lburg.soultherapist@gmail.com. That's lburg.soultherapist@gmail.com. That's lburg with a U .soultherapist@gmail.com. Or you can text 347-989-4147. 347-989-4147. When you email or text, give the promo code 365-GLOW-ST. That's 365-GLOW-ST. And when we receive your text or email, we can set up a session for you so you can experiment and see for yourself. Right now, let's take a quick break. And when we return, I will sum up the keys to loving your dis-ease away so that the dis-ease becomes the cure. The dis-ease can be used as medicine. We'll be right back.
It's time again for the Jamaican American Association of Central Florida's annual Thanksgiving Drive. Please support our effort by donating any of the non-perishable items listed on our flyer. Those donations may be delivered to Silver Star Christian Church, 7510 Silver Star Road, Orlando, Florida, on Sundays, 12:30 till 2 p.m. Or call 407-486-5001 or 407-292-3719, and one of our members will arrange to collect those items from you. The drop-off cutoff is November 12th, 2023. You may give cash donations at jaaocf.com. So thank you so much in advance for doing your part this year to help a family in need for Thanksgiving.
Well, welcome back to the This Ease is the Cure show. We're going to summarize now. We're on the Caribbean Rhythms Radio Network. What we covered today in Loving Your Dis-Ease Away. The bottom line is face it. Face it, look at it, be conscious, conscientize, and remember that for every dis-ease condition, chronic or recurring dis-ease condition where there's suffering and upset, there are underlying patterns within you of behavior, of thoughts, of emotions and beliefs that have a causal relationship to or that aid and abet that dis-ease. Please be mindful of that and do take advantage of our free offer to experience a soul therapy consultation. Thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you next month at the next session of this Ease is the Cure show.
This ease is the cure if the symptoms are consciously managed, as in soul therapy, which uses dis-ease as medicine. It exposes the root causes of the conditions, whether they be physical, in relationships, or in society. Soul therapy is complementary to all other modalities of healing or remediation because it accelerates cure, reduces suffering, and attracts the wisdom and energy to help prevent, treat, or recover from dis-ease.
This is your girl coach, Lady Mia, inviting you to join the conversation on Glow 365 for a special edition of The Mia Allman Show on Monday, October the 16th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. My special guest will be Dr. Ronald Lynch on breast cancer. Know the Facts, Part 1 of a 3-part series. So keep it locked right here on Caribbean Rhythms Radio Network, online at crrfm.com.
Glow 365 TV presents Sisters of Faith, hosted by Coach Lady Q, founder of Sisters of Faith in Pink and Pearls. Lady Q is an evangelist, certified life and relationship coach with a bachelor's in pastoral care. Lady Q will be streaming on how important it is to take care of your spiritual wellness, how to release your baggage while finding God's purpose in life, and the vital skills to build stronger relationships with a solid foundation, and much, much more. Now join Lady Q every third Tuesday as we stream on YouTube at Glow 365 TV shows at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and every third Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on crrfm.com as we talk about the mind, body, and soul. A conversation you do not want to miss, and one you will definitely want to share.
This is your girl, Adriana Clark, and you are now listening into Caribbean Rhythms Radio Network. I invite you to join me every Saturday for Saturday Praise, when we come and we give God all the glory and all the thanks. Tune in every Saturday, 10 a.m. till 12 p.m. and make sure you keep it locked to crrfm.com, giving you a little bit of everything.